All right, all right, all right. Hey guys, how's it going? Wow, it looks like we already have a number of folks here. As you can see, we got little barn cat hanging out tonight. And I really appreciate everybody showing up here to do the farm meeting. Um, I've got a couple of things I wanted to talk to you guys about tonight. And so I'll take a bit of time to do that. And then after I kind of run through those things, what we'll do is we'll go to the questions that you have. I got a whole bunch on Instagram. I got a whole bunch on Twitter and Facebook and TikTok. So kind of pretty much from all the different platforms. And I'm looking forward to answering some of those, as well as if you guys want to ask questions here, go for it. Before I do that, though, I also want to just say a shout out and thank you to my moderators. You know, I can't believe we almost have 500 people here already, and it's like the first 60 seconds. And, you know, none of this would be possible without my moderators. So show them love, show them support, show them respect. You know, Little Mountain Life, Don over there, he and his wife, Natalie, are doing some great things, building a homestead in Virginia. Rose over at Wholesome Roots, who is just doing some incredible things. She is like the godmother of goats and gardening. She is just a brilliant, brilliant person. I've learned a lot from her over the years. And so if you're trying to learn, Rose at Wholesome Roots is a great place to start out. And then my buddy Ethan over at 180 Degrees from Average, which if you have not seen their latest video, it's pretty rad. He and his family are looking right now in the Ozarks to find their forever home. And it's pretty amazing. Oh, and also, did anyone else show up moderator-wise? Oh, Jack from the Mindful Homestead and Josh from the City Set are also here. So, wow, we got, like, mods representing. So, like I said, I got some talking, and then we'll do some Q&A. But let's start with the talking. You know, I titled this video Important Farm Meeting for a very specific reason. I have always found that you guys are, like, partners in this farm. You know, most farms run where it's like a private enterprise. Yet since day one here at Goldshot Farm, I've tried to open up what's going on here around the farm to the broader world and try to document it and capture it on YouTube, just so everybody knows what's going on. Try to be transparent. Try to really show the ups and downs of being a guy who has really no business farming, trying to start a farm and trying to build what I hope to be ultimately a successful farm. And so because of that, you know, I really always have thought of you guys, the YouTube viewers and subscribers and really Goldshot Farm fans as like a silent partner in this whole enterprise. You've given me advice over the years. There's been financial support that's come from you guys in the form of you watching our videos and really, you know, helping us kind of figure out like what's going on. The capital that we've had, you know, has come from the AdSense revenue. Kind of all that stuff has been a big part of what you guys have done. And oh, by the way, we got a super chat. Thank you for that, Diana. Diana, who has been a viewer for a very long time. And I guess that's what's always been also so cool to me is that I've gotten to know so many of you from your comments and your emails and your letters and your care packages. I mean, you know, speaking of care packages, right? Like, somebody just sent me this goose in the mail today that they found at a tag sale. It was incredible. And, you know, thank you. So, yeah, Patrice, thank you for this. But I guess my point is this. You guys are partners in this farm. And so while that might not exactly be the technical legal term for it all, I think of you as partners. And so when I'm starting to make big farm decisions, I want to make sure you guys feel like you're a part of those decisions. And that means, you know, talking to you and giving you guys updates and talking about what's going on. And specifically, I want to talk to you about some of the plans that we have for the farm and some of the plans that are coming for the farm. And so don't consider this a final announcement. Don't consider this like the end all be all for what's going on here. Really think about this as the first step in a long conversation. And so I'm going to start to host, particularly over the winter here, some of these regular quote unquote farm meetings to give you guys an update on some of the things that are going on so that you can have a sense of what's happening with this farm. All right, I'm beating way around the bush. Let me get right into it. As you guys know, I've had plans to add additional animals in the future. While right now we raise chickens, we raise ducks, we raise geese. All of those things have been a big part of learning how to farm. They've been kind of my training wheels. They've been how we've started out with things. As we added, Toby Dog as a livestock guardian dog, that was like another step in a direction. But really, my long-term dream, ever since I've envisioned having a farm, has been having cattle. And I actually can see some of you guys are guessing what's going on here and what I'm going to be talking about in the chat. And I always knew someday I'd want to have them. And I always knew that ultimately that would be a big part of it in terms of mob grazing. When I first got into the idea of even starting a farm, it was reading, the writing of guys like Joel Salatin and like Alan Savory, and really thinking about people like Greg Judy in terms of like what I would like my farm to ultimately be like. And even as we were looking for property, and we found our place here in Peacham, Vermont, and we ended up establishing Goldshaw Farm here, it was on a property that was a former dairy farm that has the acreage necessary for cattle and has the space and has pastures and kind of all of these things. But I haven't taken the plunge yet because I haven't quite felt ready. And I think that that's an important thing to consider, right? In that I think so often people dive into homesteading and farming without doing their research, without getting themselves ready. And I feel like the last few years, what I've been doing has been getting myself ready. And I am officially at the point where I'm saying, yep, I am ready. and so what we're going to be doing is we are going to be adding cattle. Now, and I see a couple of you jumping ahead in the chat here. We are not doing it right away. We don't have cows outside right now. Like, that hasn't happened. So just so you guys know, that's not something that's like immediate. But in the next 12 months, my expectation would be that we're adding cattle to the farm. And specifically, though, as I've been doing my research and building out business plans and building out plans for the overall farm, I've figured out a specific breed. I've figured out a specific reason. And I've even figured out a specific business plan in terms of where I ultimately want things to go. And so I want to talk to you guys a little bit about it tonight. And I'm really curious to hear your reactions, and I'm curious to see what you say in the chat, because I think that some of the input I get from you guys and some of the thoughts that I get from you guys are going to ultimately help me figure out what we do and fine tune some of the details. And so tonight I'm going to be talking through some of the plan. I want to hear some of your feedback. And I do want to say thank you, E. Filson, for that reservation of a burger and that super chat. And thank you also to Nicole. And so here's what's going down. My plan is that in the next couple of months, I'm going to be looking to buy a few Dexter cattle. Dexter cattle, if you guys don't know, are a decent dual purpose breed of cow. They are smaller than your average cow, but they are really efficient. They are great on, grass-based systems, and that's what we're looking to do. And so I will probably look to add in year one somewhere in the neighborhood between 4 to say 6 or 7 cows. So that's females. And there's probably calf-cow pairs that'll be coming too. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm like on the hunt. I am talking to some different farms and some different breeders. I'm out there looking. I'm out there trying to figure out what I want to add. I also don't want to add anything until at least early May, because I don't want to have to house the cows in the barn. I'm not ready to do that just yet for the winter. I don't have hay bought. I don't have hay stored. Like, I don't have any of those things that I'd really ultimately need there. And so, I want to make sure that we are really ready for this. And so I'm not rushing in, but I'm going to be on the hunt. The other thing is the big major project that we're going to have going on the farm next year is I'm going to be fencing in a lot more pasture. So in the last couple of months, as you guys know, we built that 5-foot high perimeter fence of woven wire, and it fenced in about 9.5 acres of space. We're going to be fencing in probably about an additional 30 to 40 acres of land as well. And hey, Jim from the Green Dream Project. What's going on, Jim? And so we're going to be fencing in a lot of space there. And as we do that, we're going to be really setting up infrastructure as well. I think you guys probably saw me make that video with my buddy Zach a month ago, where I was at farm sitting at his farm, and I was so impressed with his infrastructure. Well, guess what? Zach's going to be helping me, and we're going to basically steal the plan that he had for his watering and grazing system for his sheep, and we're going to apply it to the cattle too. Oh, thank you, Barry West. I really appreciate that. Yeah, Art and Breed do have Dexters, and yeah, it's seeing everybody with their Dexters that's been part of why we focused on them. I've also been talking to a couple of people local around here who have Dexters, and I think they work great because my goal here is to focus on working with the cows, get used to them. You know, they're dual purpose, so I might do a little bit of milking, but the main focus will be beef. And ultimately, I actually have a plan where I want to start a business where we sell beef jerky. I realize that our farm is a little bit different. Hey, Stivers, what's going on, guys? Big Bear, you're thinking Highlands. I'll tell you guys in a minute why I'm not doing Highlands. But yeah, but the goal is we're going to ultimately start a beef jerky company too, because so many of the people who support our farm and are fans of our farm and want to buy products from our farm aren't here in Vermont's Northeast Kingdom. And if I'm just raising beef and then freezing it and shipping it, that doesn't feel good to me. It's going to be really overly expensive for anybody who buys it. But if I'm doing some sort of value-added product like beef jerky, that to me seems like a winner. And so that's why we're going to go there. Now, let me answer that question, though, that my buddy Jason over at Big Bear Homestead said of, getting Highlands. So we thought about it, and we might actually even dip our toe into a Highland or two. But if I'm looking at the size of the cow, that actually matters. And the Dexters are smaller than the Highlands. And the reason I'm focused on the smaller cows is from an economic standpoint, for us, larger cows eat more hay, which kind of is an inherent idea. But here in Vermont, especially how far north we are, we would have to probably feed hay about 6 months of the year. And so having an animal that eats less hay and that is a little bit smaller, as I sort of do the math on it, actually makes a lot more sense than having larger cows. So that's why I pass on Highlanders. That's why I'm passing on like Angus. That's not to say I might not add a cow or two into the mix as part of a, kind of feeder cow. And that's quite possible if the right one comes my way. But I wouldn't necessarily rush out to get it. All right. So I threw a lot at you guys. I'm trying to catch up with the chat, but it's going so darn fast. Who are you calling Jerky? Listen, Jerky, I don't need to talk to you. Lots of competition in jerky and not vertically integrated would likely require significant more time to grow and harvest. That is true. You do cheese, butter. That is also something I'm considering. So definitely. All right. So let's take a minute and pause. I'm gonna have a sip of water. Sorry, guys, this is all going so fast. I can't believe it. Wow, there's over 1,000 people here. So it almost makes me nervous. So let me try to answer a few of your questions. So let's see what we got here. Yeah, I can make the jerky in different flavors. Oh, thank you, Brian. I appreciate that you love the channel. Yeah, dehydrators for jerky. Okay, so the jerky part itself, the business, I'm actually talking to a few folks right now about actually partnering to make it. So I might not be personally the guy dehydrating. Like I might not be the guy personally doing that piece of it, but it'd be working with a company local here in Vermont to do that. And so then we could ship it out. And yeah, the idea would be we do a lot of fun, cool flavors because I'm a huge beef jerky fan and I love like flavored and smoked meats. And so that to me is sort of what it's all about. Oh, you know what? I did see your email about the T-Rexes. I meant to get back to it. I always apologize. I'm horrible at email. And yeah, sorry. I did see the email though about the T-Rexes. That was some interesting info, and I'll probably actually share it in a future video. And then I get to see a couple of you are asking about duck or goose jerky. So if I'm able to get this operation stood up, I might also be looking at doing duck and goose jerky as a part of this because, again, it becomes a huge way to do it. Oh, wow, Jim. Thank you. I really appreciate that super chat. Yeah. Jack can confirm I'm a horrible emailer. I'm a horrible Facebook messenger. I actually even owe him a message. Sorry, Jack. Appreciate you, man. But yeah, I'm really bad at communication. Are you going to make maple syrup this winter? Yes, I will make maple syrup this winter. And okay, Wayne is asking about goats. And here's actually the reason why I'm not prioritizing goats right now. And it actually gets to some foundational beliefs I have. Oh, thanks, Tolchi. About grazing and integrative farming operations. There is a book out there, and if anybody's looking for a good read this winter, I strongly recommend you read it. It's called Restoration Agriculture by a guy by the name of Mark Shepard. Really smart dude, really a pioneer in the regenerative farming space, like just an amazing guy. And he actually has a strong point of view about goats and their impact on the land and how goats over time drive towards desertification. So sort of stripping down the land, and ultimately they don't allow certain species of grasses to grow back as well. Yes, our property right now could sustain goats, but I also have to admit I worry about the long haul of sustaining goats. And thank you, Kel Jay. I really appreciate that. Yeah, the idea would be U.S. processed, potentially even nitrate-free beef jerky. And so I just don't quite see goats as a good option from that standpoint. And then on top of it, I don't like goats. Goats drive me nuts. And I would be so worried that goats would eat my trees. And so it's really those two dimensions of me worrying about the goats' impact on the land long term, plus the impact that goats would have on me, just in my psychology and how hard they are to fence. I don't like it. Cattle are so much easier to fence and manage, and that's actually a big reason why I lean towards them. Oh, ML, thank you for that super chat. For Pablo, who I love, and for me, any suggestions for a Floridian considering buying land in Vermont? Okay, that's a great question, and let me try to answer it. If you're thinking about trying to buy land in Vermont, hang on a sec, guys. Come here. Say hi to everybody, Lil. So if you're thinking about trying to buy land in Vermont, I would strongly recommend the Northeast Kingdom. The Northeast Kingdom is the northeastern corner of Vermont. It's more rural. It's a lot less populated. Look, Lil, the chat is just blowing up with Lils right now. Everybody's saying hi. Yeah, guys, I was hiding this special guest for a later part of the chat, but figured, what the heck? I'll bring her in here early. Who knows when my allergies are going to start to flare up. So just you'll have to bear with me when I have the sneezing attack. That's the price you'll pay. But the Northeast Kingdom is where you're going to find cheap land, some great people. You got to be careful if you're planning on working remotely out here and make sure you have good internet coverage. But I really enjoy it. And so I would strongly suggest you look in like Caledonia County or even further up north, like in, like around Glover is a good town. Sheffield's a good town. These are all places where you can find some really affordable land, good people, Brownington. And that would be where I would suggest you look. And then also really think about how it's going to be for you in the winter, right? A lot of people might see the property and think about what it's like in the summer, but really think about what your winter strategy will be too, because that's always really important for here as well. All right. Jesse's Ducks asks, pigs or call ducks? So the answer is for next year, no pigs. So sorry, bear with me, guys. So the flip side of me saying, hey, we're going to get cattle this year or in the next year is that it means I'm not going to be adding pigs. Allison and I both feel very strongly that we should only do one additional animal at a time. And, the two sort of potential, the two potential avenues to go down are, like going with the pigs or going with the cows. And after a lot of thinking and a lot of planning, I've opted to go with the cattle. I still have a lot of work too that I'm going to have to do within our barn to make it ready. I have promised Allison, and I intend to keep this promise, that I will clean up the barn and get things more organized and better organized around the farm as a whole. And I plan on doing that so that I can have winter housing for the cows. So that's going to be a big part of the project too this year. And no, Farmer Brad, it's actually not Highlanders. We're going Dexters. But I did think a lot about that. I answered that one a little earlier. All right. Augustine Brace asks, what's your plan for hay? So my plan for hay is I'm going to actually be working with some friends who actually manufacture hay and do it around here and just buy from them. Because I now have the tractor, and this was all part of the plan, so don't be surprised. Because we have the tractor, round bale hay would be what we'd feed them from produced locally here. We wouldn't actually hay our land anytime soon. The idea would be that we keep working over the land and basically making sure that like things are in good order and see if this all works before I invest in the infrastructure needed to hay the land here. Ultimately, though, I also want to add more fertility. And when you harvest hay, you're essentially extracting that fertility. And so my plan is initially to buy hay locally in round bales and feed it over the winter. All right. Daniel Reyes is asking, how often does Toby get burdock in his fur? And I would say it happens once a week, maybe, and I got to take it out, and he hates it every single time, but I think he kind of knows that it's necessary. So yeah, that is the case. All right, I'm going to answer a couple of Twitter questions and Instagram questions because people were really good earlier today to submit these, and so let me try to do that. Okay, this is from Duck Fat on Twitter, who asked me, you built a screened-in area on the floor of your duck house for easy water dumping during the winter, I believe. Do you find yourself using it? Would you do it again? Yes, 100%. For anybody who's watching this, thank you, Andrew. I really appreciate that. So for anybody who's watching this, and you're thinking about building housing for ducks or geese, I strongly recommend within that house you build some sort of drainage system for the water so that you can give them water overnight. Because if you don't have a drainage system built in and you just have like a box house and it's sealed up, I think you're asking for it in terms of all sorts of disease problems that can spring up from the wet dampness, as well as the fact that it's just gross and smelly. And so I put in like a screened in floor that's about, 2 feet by 2 feet square. And I put a 1/4 inch hardware cloth over it, or actually no, 1/2 inch hardware cloth over it. And what that does is I can put my water trays on top of that screened in area, and I can pour the water in, and if they splash, it just goes through the slotting. And when I'm ready to change the water, I just tip it over and dump it, especially during the summer months. And it works great. And so I also have a version of that in the duck house where I dug a trench where I have like a screen sitting on top of that trench, and I just dump the water in there and it drains down, keeps everybody's bedding drier. It keeps the stink away. And yeah, I'm a huge fan of it. All right. If you were able to get another duck breed, what would you get? I think I would either get Muscovies or runner ducks. I think it's going to be one of those two. And I might even add a couple of those next year. So yeah. Okay. Would you get mason bees? They pollinate, but they don't make honey. All right, Alexia, here's the other thing. I might actually get bees next year. So I know I said really we're only focusing on one animal. Bees might be the exception just because I've been meaning to get bees for a very, very long time. And I really want to, add them into the farm. And they're not that much work. So it's not like taking on an animal like pigs or something. I think we also might add turkeys if I'm not, kind of speaking too far out of turn. Again, I feel like I've gotten so much experience with raising chickens and ducks and geese. Adding a small flock of turkeys into the mix to help with, managing the land in the broader silvopasture would definitely be something I'd look at. All right. And it gets better. Yes, Chris, bees. I know, man. I told you guys this was an important farm meeting. I was not trying to BS here. All right, I'm going to answer an Instagram question here. Okay. Can we see more of your wife and how she takes care of her own garden? You know what? Allison sort of likes to do videos sometimes, but sometimes doesn't. And so, I really, don't want to push her to ever do it. I always want to make sure she feels comfortable with doing stuff on video or not. And so, yeah, I sort of pass on it, and she passes on it. And so you'll see stuff from time to time, but just know that it's her being comfortable with being on camera versus not. And, I try to let her be the judge of that one. I don't ever try to push her. Okay, Sabine, let me answer your question. How tall am I? I'm about like 5'9"-ish. And so yeah, I would not say I'm tall. I wouldn't say I'm like short. I'm not. I'm like average, slightly below average, maybe, I guess is what I term it. So yeah. All right, more questions. Are you able to sustain yourself and your wife with just the farm? No, 100% no. Especially at this stage of the game, we're not. It is a combination of Allison works an off-farm job where she works as a nurse practitioner. I work an off-farm job that technically I work from home, but it's off-farm income. And then obviously we have like revenue from things like YouTube. And so those are the things that really support us. And those are the things that generate the income to help us invest in the farm. And I'm going to actually probably do a video next week where I talk about specifically how much money we made from the farm this past year, as well as how I managed the farm business. And so I'm going to do kind of an insider look that I'll probably end up shooting right here in this same room. And so that'll be a video that comes out next week. But as of right now, no, we don't support ourselves just from farm income. Maybe someday. Do you guys work with local chefs or supply restaurants with the farm products? Sometimes. There are a couple of local chefs we supply ducks to, a couple of local chefs that we supply duck eggs to. And so I'm not sure it's ever going to be a huge part of our business, but it is something that I do look into from time to time. And, if there's more opportunities, we'll go. Whoa, wow. Chats are going crazy. Will we ever build another barn-like structure on the farm? Yes. So we're looking at it right now, and I don't know if you guys know this. Like, if you look at where our barn is, I was describing, and not everybody's going to picture this. There's also this sort of older shed building that's not like a small shed, but a rather large size shed that's actually falling apart. My plan is we're going to probably ultimately bulldoze that one. It's just not in great shape. It's probably not savable. It's too small to be used for anything other than storage or maybe animal housing. But it's even got like a wood floor, so you don't really necessarily want to have animals in on that. And so my thought is, though, that if we take that space out, we might build a new second barn that kind of matches our big current barn. And in that, we'd probably build like a more modern garage space so I can house like our cars in the winter is a huge deal here in Vermont, which would make a big difference. I can have extra space for the tractor because I can just barely squeeze it into certain parts of the barn right now. And then other equipment that we get, we can house there. And so long term, I'd love to have that space. I don't know when that's going to happen. It probably won't happen next year, but who knows? You never know. If like some manufacturer is out there and is saying, hey, if you want to like build this with our kit, I might do that, but I don't know. All right. Does Toby sleep outside or in his new wooden den? You know what? That's a great question. And I have yet to see Toby sleep in his den, in his igloo. He always sleeps underneath the duck house. I will probably actually put some trail cameras out there in the next night or two just to capture it on video, and I'll feature it in a future YouTube video. But yeah, he always puts himself underneath the duck house. It's just where he likes to live. And that's just kind of his mode. I might try to build him a different winter accommodation because I want to keep my buddy warm. So we'll see. Hey, my buddy Photo Finn, who is a local guy here. He just popped in. Finn, man, you got to keep making videos. I miss him. But yeah. Right on. All right. Margaret Tucker's asking, how is little barn cat doing? Love all the animals and who has 29 years and 2 Monties when he died. All right. How's Lil Barn Cat doing? All right, let me get her again for some of you guys who missed this earlier. Hang on. Whoop. Here's how Lil Barn Cat's doing. She's doing really good. So yeah, no, she's just hanging out. Hey, Bee Havens. Yeah, she's doing really good. She has completely adapted to being a house cat. She loves playing the laser pointer game with me. She doesn't always like to sit on my lap. She also loves the wood stove. So Lil's favorite place, especially this time of year, is to sit downstairs pretty much right next to the wood stove, and she just sort of bakes herself in, and she's doing good. And my cat allergies, which I know you're probably all saying, oh my gosh, they're not horrible. Like, I feel like having the cat in the house has been like its own form of allergy shots. And by having low-level ongoing doses of Lil at all times, my allergies have gotten better. I still take like a Claritin once a day. And I know that if I rub my face or my eyes right now or scratch my nose or something, I will probably break out sneezing. Probably having this much like closed-in exposure with her in my office right now, she probably will make me start sneezing at some point here. But she's so adorable. I can't like not do it. Yeah. So yeah, Lil hangs out. Oh, wow, Finn. I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. I'll shoot you a note, man. I want to catch up with you, though, because I think you do such good work. But I'm really sorry to hear about your mom. Yeah, she's like a little therapy cat. All right, we're going to answer another question here. I've been doing such a bad job. I feel like I'm just yakking away and not answering all the questions that you guys asked and took the time to ask. All right, Terry asked me on Facebook, where do I see my family and the farm in 5 years? I don't know. That's a good one. I would hope that 5 years from now, we have a successful cattle operation. We have a successful pig operation. We continue to have a successful goose and duck operation. And I really think that I'd love to have, the farm business self-sustaining, where just on the income from the farm itself, it can stand by itself without needing things like YouTube income or that stuff to kind of keep it going. I really hope, though, I'm still making videos and making content, because I love doing that too. I mean, I often say to people, like, if I were to win the lottery tomorrow, what I would do would be not that different than what I'm doing today. I would be working on the farm, and I would probably just expand out the farm a little bit, and I'd probably build a couple more outbuildings and, buy like a extra tractor or excavator like Alfred's got. And I would do that sort of thing. But other than that, it wouldn't be that much different. And I would keep making YouTube videos because I love doing that too. And so those would be the things I would do if I won the lottery. And so I feel really lucky today by the fact that I can just do that as it is. And so, yeah, that's where I hope to be 5 years from now. All right. What more questions are you guys asking? If I won the lottery, I'd have more Toby dogs. Okay, I keep saying, oh, we're only getting cows next year, but you know what? We're also getting another dog next year. So next spring, I don't know exactly when, because the mother hasn't been bred yet, but the plan that I have with the breeder is that they're shooting for I think like an April-ish delivery date, which would mean that we'd probably end up with a puppy on the farm probably in June. It'll be a Maremma. It'll be the same breed as Toby. It'll actually be Toby will be this puppy's uncle. So the mom is Toby's sister. And I really just, Toby's a great dog. And so I wanted that genetics. And so I'm really looking forward to that. So that will be happening next spring at some point. I'll let you guys know. You guys will follow along as all that's going to go. I'm not going to keep it as a mystery. It'll be a girl. So Maremmas work best in pairs, and they work best when they're male-female pairs. And so Toby's going to be the male of the pair, and the female will be this new puppy. How's the pond going? Well, Pennsylvania rail fanner, the pond is going pretty well. We've actually had a fair amount of rain lately, and the temps are sort of like freezing off and on. And it's about, I would say, a quarter full. In the video I put out on Thursday, where you're going to actually meet a new animal on the farm, I actually show you the pond and you get to see the ducks swimming in it. And so you'll get a more in-depth update there, but it's doing pretty good. Oh, thank you. Oh, golly, I'm not going to be able to pronounce that, but I really appreciate that $10 super chat. That means a lot to me, and thank you. Do you fix farm dogs? We will be fixing Toby, so I'm waiting as long as I can, but probably before the puppy gets here or just as the puppy gets here, we will be fixing Toby, just because I'm not planning on breeding and I don't want to have him get the puppy pregnant. So that's the reason. We should name the puppy Constance. That's an interesting idea. I actually could see that doing it. One of probably my all-time favorite boss. So this woman I used to work for, I actually worked for at 2 different jobs. A woman by the name of Connie, just a great, great lady. Love her. Like family to me at this point. And so her name's Connie or Constance. And so, I could possibly see doing that if she wouldn't mind. Will we ever breed the new barn cats? Well, since Pablo's neutered and Lil's neutered, I don't think we're breeding them, but we will add some additional barn cats. Basically, I'm just going to wait until the right opportunity falls in our lap and we'll pick a couple up. Do you have any advice for people starting a farm for the first time? You need advice. Oh, I shouldn't have scratched my face. All right, Lil, you can hop down if you want. My advice to you would be this. Pay attention. Really read up and think about what you want to do. Don't try to do too much at once. Take it slow. Don't put too much on the line right out of the gate. Give yourself the ability to make mistakes. And if you do all of that and you approach things with humility, you're going to be very successful. All right, I got a couple super chats here. I want to say thank you to you guys. Thank you, Brat Tracy. Happy Thanksgiving to you too. And just so everybody knows, we will be putting out a video on Thursday, Thanksgiving. I wouldn't call it Thanksgiving themed, but there is a new animal that's showing up on the farm in the video on Thursday. If you guys follow us on TikTok, which I've got some folks who are still live streaming on TikTok here, I actually show it off there. And he's a good addition. I'm excited for him. We're working on the process of bringing him in here. And then there was another one. It was some Danish kroners, right? Please looking up to setting your mic, Yeti mic, the right way so you speak into from the front, not the top. Okay, I get so many comments on this, and I'm going to talk about this. So hang on, Birdie. I'll hit you in a second. But Kaleo, hey, Phil, man. Let's do a follow-up episode 100%, man. I will love to do that. And if guys, you are looking for a podcast, check out We Are Something Else. It's some friends that I used to work with do it. Just some dudes in the DC area chat. And it's fun. I still listen to it to this day while I'm outside working around the farm. And yes, 100% Phil. I'll shoot you a note after this and we'll do it. But let me talk about the mic because I know this drives people nuts. So technically, you should have your Yeti mic like this. This is how you're supposed to have it positioned. Is that correct, Birdie? So Birdie, tell me if I'm holding it wrong, but technically this is how your Yeti mic is supposed to be positioned. Let me just tilt it for the folks on TikTok. And I always do it like this. And there's a reason. The reason I do it is if I have the mic like this and I say pee, pop, pop, peep, pop, poo, pop, 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 it like pops on the P's and your S's can sound a little sibilant too. If I have it like this though, my vocal pattern and my breath is going to the top of the mic. And so it's actually not hitting that direct line. And so that actually helps. And at RKH, I know that it has a pop filter, but I don't want it. And so if I just do this, I feel like I'm building my own pop filter. So that is why I tilt my Yeti mic like this. I know it drives a lot of people crazy, but it's totally cool, guys. I appreciate the feedback. It's a fun debate. What was the final decision that you were like, I've had enough of life in DC and I wanted to start a farm? That's a good one. I think I don't want to get political on here, so I don't know if I am, but I will say that the general political climate and life in DC, that was like sort of a tipping point for me where I was like, I said I'm out of here. And so, 2000, just think about things that happened in 2016 that were politically affiliated and related, and know that that sort of had a play in it. Will we be getting any goats? No, as I said earlier, we won't. Although I'd love to get like a goat from Danelle, like that she would like send to us on a plane like she did for Al. That would be really cool. But no, I'm not a goat guy. I'm going to be focusing on cattle, as I said. Well, thank you, Ms. Melinda. I appreciate you saying that. Julian Cairns asked, who buys most of my products? So a lot of you guys bought most of my products this year. So if you look at our farm business, right? And sorry for that noise. It's Lil playing with a little toy. If you look at our farm business, and thank you, Popsicle Penguin, for that super chat. I'll talk about alpacas next. But if you look at our farm business, we have sold geese, and we've sold live geese. We sold a lot of them in the spring. We sold probably about, I want to say almost a dozen. And then we sold frozen geese this past fall, which we sold about 30 or so. And pretty much each one of those purchases was by somebody who watches our YouTube channel. As you guys know, you can actually, you could have ordered the geese on our website, and then lots of people came to the farm to pick them up. I might actually next year host a couple of farm days where I just open up the farm and let people come and visit, and you can, visit, hang out, say hi to Toby Dog, all that good stuff, see Pablo Barncat wandering around. And because so many people like just visiting the farm, but a lot of people buying geese from us on the website, they came from like Buffalo, they came from New Jersey, New York City, Boston, like all over the place to come pick them up. And I'm sorry, guys. Lil has found like a screw, and she's like hitting it all around the room on the hardwood floors here. So that's why you can hear it. Now, let me answer the question about alpacas. Yeah, I don't plan on having alpacas. I actually have a neighbor. My neighbor, Ron, the guy who helped me put in the fence, he actually has an alpaca farm about a mile from here. And I just don't know if there's quite a market for it versus, me focusing on something like beef. And so that's why I don't think we have alpacas in the future. Cindy Green, thank you very much for that super chat. I see you in the little green cape there flying away. Thank you. Train Corp is asking, how do we mill the lumber? I also saw another question about how do we mill the cedar. So if I have lumber that I'm milling, I have my buddy Jeff, who lives a couple miles from here. He has a bandsaw mill dealie, and he's the one who actually cut it. So like when I got those pieces to do Toby's house, they came from Jeff. And so oftentimes, because I have all the land and I have all the forest, we cut wood here, we bring it over to Jeff's, cut over there, and then you got lumber. Ta-da. And it's kind of a cool trade. It's one of the things I like the most about our community, and that we actually have like a real good exchange and barter system that happens in partnership, whether it's friends like Alfred or my buddy Tom or my buddy Zach or Jeff, like just all these people I can rely on and work with and help them out. And I do a lot of things to help them. And then they oftentimes do a ton to help me. And so it's just very cool. All right, Elise, thank you for the super chat. And to answer your question, would we ever get pheasants, meat or ornamental? I don't see it in the future. A lot of people ask me about a lot of different like exotic birds, whether it's talking about pheasants or peacocks or call ducks or actually my buddy Ben over at the Urban Rescue Ranch, which is like one of the coolest YouTube channels that most people aren't watching right now. He like raises rheas, which are like small ostriches, or emus like my buddy Jason or my buddy Jake down at White House on the Hill does. And they all do those. And it's just not for me. I think those birds seem fun. We have a kind of harsher, more unforgiving climate. And so sort of doing more experimental things are not, exactly what's going on, what I'm going to focus in on. All right. Victor is asking, are you friends with other farming YouTubers? Yes. In fact, that's a great segue for me to mention several of my friends who are in here. So you guys see the people whose names have like the blue and the wrench on them? They are all farming YouTubers. They are all awesome farmers, and they're all awesome YouTubers. So Rose at Wholesome Roots, Jack at the Mindful Homestead, Don at Little Mountain Life, Josh at the City Stead, Ethan over at 180 degrees from average. They're all awesome people. They're all friends. But yeah, there's a ton of folks. Like Al Lumna, as you guys know, who lives really close to me here. The reason I'm rubbing my nose, by the way, is Lil. Al Lumna is a good friend of mine. Jess and Jeremiah down at Roots of Refuge are friends. Jake is a good buddy. Like, there's just like a lot of great people. The YouTube homesteader and the farming homestead YouTubers, it's just a really good community and a lot of great people out there. So yeah, a lot of us are friends. Like, one of the biggest disappointments I have about 2020 is because of COVID, the Homesteaders of America conference was canceled. And last year I had so much fun hanging out with my friends at the Homesteaders of America conference. Yeah, like Rose was down there and it was just so cool. And I'm really disappointed that we didn't have that opportunity this year. And definitely hoping that for 2021 that does go down and I will be there and be able to hang out with my friends again. Because I don't know, to be honest with you guys, I miss them. Will we do a Discord service? Yes, I would love to do a Discord server. I just don't know how. I would, if there's somebody out there who knows about Discord and is like an expert, I would be so up for it. I would be so into participating on it and doing stuff with it. I think it's really a great opportunity. And so, yes, I would love to do it. I know Jason. Yeah, Candy. I know. I was so bummed. I was texting with Jason about that. I had these rare fall goose eggs from our geese here. So they were laying eggs for us. And my buddy Jason over at the Cog Hill farm, he lives in a much warmer climate. And I refuse to try to hatch birds in the fall here because we get snow regularly for the last month. It's like in the teens every night, and it would just be a nightmare trying to raise baby birds. And so I sent a box of eggs down to Jason, and he was trying to hatch them, but then he lost power because of one of the hurricanes. And so unfortunately, the eggs didn't develop. And so he and I were talking about it, though. We're going to probably try to do that experiment again in the spring. I will be flush with geese eggs, and so you guys can definitely take a shot at those when you want to. And yeah, you can see her. There's Lil. Hey, Paul. Thank you for the super chat. And have I ever thought about growing marijuana? I have not thought about growing marijuana like the psychotropic, variety. I have seriously considered growing hemp. And, given the fact that we now have the tractor, I might explore doing a little bit of that at some point in the not too distant future. Yeah, Alfredo, I agree. We do have awesome moderators. And Rose, you will get some hatching eggs. We will figure out something in the spring. So let's keep talking about that one. And yeah, Don has experience with our hatching eggs. Don actually hatched out a bunch of ducks. He was really successful. I was so impressed with how Don hatched his ducks because it was his first time ever hatching eggs. He made this amazing video about it. You can probably find it on his YouTube channel. And in the video, he was so careful and precise, and he had such a good outcome. I think he hatched more eggs than anybody. And on top of it all, I think the added bonus for him, I think he hatched 7 ducks, and 6 of them were female, and 1 of them was a drake, which is like the perfect ratio for a duck flock. So he's like ready to go, and kudos to Don for that. Jack also at the Mindful Homestead, he was able to hatch them too. But he also got all females. I found that my duck eggs, and I don't want to make this claim and have people think I'm misleading, but I have found that my duck eggs tend to hatch more female than not. Like, just the odds are generally in our favor. If you'd be best to look up on YouTube how to do a Discord, you can run it yourself, but I know a little about maybe a few small servers. Okay, I'm gonna make this a to-do, and I will try to track some info on Discord down. Yeah, my moderators have been doing a good job. Will we get quail? No, probably not. There's something about quail that I don't know. I'm not a huge fan of. I don't like all the cages. They seem cute and adorable and stuff, but I'll stick to ducks and geese, maybe more chickens. Yeah, hemp is an awesome product across the farm. I love hemp. Like, I think hemp could be such a cool thing to do. like just in terms of the industrial uses, the regenerative properties of it. Using it as animal bedding in terms of some of the waste product from processing, the CBD market, all of it. And no, White Run, you don't smoke hemp. All right, guys, I brought a little game for you, and I'm going to tilt my camera a little bit here so you can watch this game. And this is going to be fun time. Think of this as like the little intermission for you, and you can see what I like to do with Lil. I have this red laser dot pointer. See? Okay. And it's Lil's favorite thing in the world to chase the laser dot. Lil and I will play like this for hours. I'm not even exaggerating. Like, after a long day, there's nothing that makes me happier than sitting in front of the fireplace with Lil, just doing this. I swear to God. and she loves it too. And I think at this point, I've pretty much come to the conclusion that I think she knows it's me controlling the laser. And so I think she knows that, but she loves chasing it. I've tried remote controlled mice. I've tried other toys. I have like a couple of like things on sticks and feathers on sticks and stuff. And she likes all of those things. She loves to play just in general, but there's nothing she likes more, and her intensity level just ratchets up, is when I play with this here laser pointer. It's her favorite. Oh, thanks for the super chat, Grandmaster Level. Would you be interested in a sponsor for your channel? We're horticulture partner of Samsung. Yes, if you're interested, we are actually starting to work with sponsors. It's one of those things I kind of held off for a little while, but we are starting to work with sponsors. And so if you want to, just email us off of our YouTube page, and we'll follow up with you. I've actually got a friend of mine. She's helping me deal with all of that stuff. And yeah, actually, guys, just so you know, there's going to be our first sort of real formal sponsored video that's going to come out next week. It's going to be the one where I'm talking about the business of the farm. It should be a fun video. And my goal is, while I take on these sponsors, not to make it feel really commercial and awkward, and always make it be a product that I already use or already really believe in. And as we do it, just so you know, and this is all part of the grand business plan, the way I'm going to afford to pay for the cattle next year is I'm going to take the money I get from the sponsors, set it aside, and use that money to actually buy the cattle. So this is all part of my grand scheme of things. And so, yes, we are working with sponsors. We're taking on sponsors. And if you're interested, just email us right off of the link on our YouTube page, and we'll get right up with you. The Toby Dog video brought you up to Raid Shadow Legends. Thank you, Sabine. I appreciate that. So what's my favorite animal on the farm? That's a tough one. Can you sponsor a cow and name her and get updates? We might do that. That might actually be fun, like adopt a cow program. We might do that. I want to think about how I would do that, but let me consider it. So let me answer, though, that question about my favorite animal on the farm, because it's going to be an unsatisfying answer for you guys. I think of the animals on our farm as like in tiers. And in the top tier is Toby Dog, Pablo Barn Cat, and Lil Barn Cat. Yes, Lil, you are in the top tier of animals on the farm. Don't you worry, sweetie. Here, let her be in this conversation. So yes, Pablo, Lil, and Toby are in the top tier of animals on the farm. They are the most important ones. They are more pet than just pure farm animal, and they're really good animals, and I love them. And yeah, as you've seen, I care deeply about them. As far as other animals on the farm, I love all of the animals on the farm. There are some animals I find funnier than others. There are some that I think have just an annoying personality. I'm not going to name names, but at this end of the day, I try to show them love as well. They're farm animals, though, and livestock I consider more than like Toby, Pablo, and Lil. And so there's like really two tiers to how I think about them. I love some of the characters, though, like, yes, Ron Swanson I love, or Samson Puddle Duck, or Alexander Hamilton. They're all great. I love them all, to be honest. It's hard for me to separate. I saw a really good question in here that came in from Danielle, who sent us a super chat. And what she wanted to know is, I want to know if you are friends with the neighbor who had the accident with Little Barn Cat. Do you keep in contact with him or no? Happy she's okay. The answer is I am absolutely still friends with the neighbor that hit Little Barn Cat. He is a very nice person, and he did not do anything wrong in that situation. In fact, he did a brave and courageous thing that I can't give him enough credit for. So he is a guy, I know him really well. He drives through our neighborhood going 25 miles an hour. So he's not blowing through here going crazy like some people do. He is going slow and very focused. You know, his hands are at 10 and 2. Like, he's not a distracted driver. I know he wasn't drunk. Like, you know, like, he's a good guy. Lil ran into the road, ran into him, and that's how she got hit. And so it really was on me and it was on her. It was not on this neighbor. This neighbor then went, stopped his car, walked in up to my house, knocked on the door, and said, "Hey, I think I hit your cat." And if he hadn't told us that, we would not have been looking for Lil for a much longer period of time. We would not even know what had happened to her. And so the fact that he was brave enough to just have to break that uncomfortable and sad news to us, it shows me such strong character that 100% I want him as a friend. So absolutely still friends with him. Are you satisfied with your farmland tractor? Yes, 100%. I'm loving it. Even though I still haven't gotten the earth auger out of the ground. My buddy Zach was over here yesterday and we were trying to actually put the shearing pin back in and try to retwist it. But because it's so stuck now, like, the force of the PTO turning just will snap any shearing bolt I put in there. And so I'm not sure. I think the only solution I have is probably to have Alfred come back here in the spring and dig it all up. So either that or I just permanently consider myself to have planted an earth auger. So it's going to be one of the two for sure. Do you have a well or city water? So we have a well. So the water in our house right now is a well. We also have a spring that's developed about 500 yards from the house. And I plan on actually running another line from that to a new pump facility, which will be part of our watering plans for the farm in the future. Why don't I take Lil Barn Cat outside in a harness? I don't take Lil Barn Cat outside in a harness because, number one, she's an indoor cat now. And I think if you have her have 1 foot inside and 1 foot outside, she's never going to be satisfied with being an indoor cat. And she's actually pretty happy. She's getting a little impatient being cooped up just here in my office. But, you know, generally speaking, she is pretty happy just hanging out around the house, especially downstairs, especially around the fire. And so there's just no reason for her to go outside. Thank you, Medic Demon. I really appreciate that super chat. That's really cool of you. That means a lot. Oh, S. Daniel said, ask because I know if I hit an animal by accident, I would kill me not knowing if it was okay. He sounded like a really good guy. He's absolutely a really good idea. All right, Mountain Mike is asking a great question. Any good uses for duck and goose feathers? So for the last couple of years, I keep trying to figure out ways to preserve my duck and goose feathers after I scald them and pluck them. And I have not found a way to dry them. But my buddy Bill over at the Honest Open Permaculture Farm, or Hop Farm, if you will. If you guys are on TikTok right now, you know Hop Farm, I can guarantee you. But if you guys are on YouTube, you should check out Hop Farm. He actually told me this trick he uses with his chicken feathers, where he gets a lingerie bag for like laundry, and he puts the wet feathers in there and then throws it through the dryer. And apparently by doing that, it dries them out perfectly. And so next year when I do my butchery, I might actually try to save most of the downy feathers and process them that way and maybe make a quilt or something around here on the farm. I think it'd be pretty cool. How heavy is Samson? I would guess Samson's about 16 pounds. Look into fletching. There are great methods for preserving feathers. Okay, I just actually want to call this out because we actually sell them on our website. So You can see here, I actually do keep the flight feathers from our birds. And, you know, they make great pen quills if you want. If you were fletching and making arrows, you could use them too. And I absolutely love having these quills. And I actually just have like a stack of them up over there. We sell them on our website, on the Goldshaw Farm website. You can order them. And yeah, I think they're great. And so I do use this part of the feather. But what I really want to try to start using is the down. Amric Baines is asking, would I consider bees? Yes, Amric, as I was saying earlier, we absolutely are considering bees for next year. All right, Nara, thank you for the super chat. It would be fun to see you make a video playing some Farming Sim 19. Any plans in the future to grow crops like potatoes on your farm for profit? I might try to do a video where I play some farming games. That would be kind of a fun video to make. So I might try to do that. We are definitely going to grow a lot more potatoes next year. I wouldn't call it at a crop level, but we grew a couple 100 pounds of potatoes this year for us, just for Allison and me to eat. And it went really well. And so I would expect us to probably do some more of that. And Just a Voice, thank you for that super chat. The last owners had a produce stand. Any plans to grow and sell produce? Love you all from Canada. Yes, you're 100% true. So before our farm was here, and before we were Goldshaw Farm, there was actually Old Shaw Farm. And Old Shaw Farm was an organic vegetable CSA and farm. And they actually used to have like a little farm stand in that shed that I was talking about earlier that I might turn into a garage. And yeah, they did that a lot. The soil on our farm is actually tremendous. And my plan would be to really, you know, keep taking advantage of it, but we're going to focus more on grazing from a business perspective. But at the same time, we will still be doing a lot of gardening. Molly Code, thank you for that super chat. All right. Whew. We're about an hour. This has been fun, guys. I hope we have more farm meetings. Let me know in the chat how frequently you'd like to do these, because I think especially now that we're in the winter months, I have a little more time to do this type of thing. As well as I will be starting the Goldshaw Farm podcast back up starting in December. So stay tuned for that as well. Monthly, every month, monthly, weekly. Weekly might be tough, but monthly, I think that might be it. Let me pick a night on a monthly basis, and that'll probably turn into the monthly farm meeting. But I'm loving this. This is so much fun to hang out with you guys. All right. Thank you, Paul Duffner, for that super chat. And would we ever get an indoor dog? Would Toby be jealous? Some socialist dog living inside for free. We might, maybe someday. Right now, I wouldn't call it a priority. But, you know, sometimes I've thought about getting like say like a herder dog. And if I were to do something like that, okay. Actually a different view. I feel like you must get bored just looking at the same stuff. So we might get like a herder dog, like a corgi or something. And so maybe someday, but not right now. The next dog we get will be another livestock guardian dog that will stay outside with Toby. RKH, I didn't answer your question, but that's all right. It was kind of lame. Much love. Oh, RKH, please tell me your question and I will try to answer it. I'm sorry about that. It's the chat just goes so quick. All right. Bartek, thank you for the super chat. I've made a few servers, including one with now over 700 members for a friend. If you'd like, I could set one up for you and then hand ownership over. Yeah, Bartek, if you could shoot me a message somewhere and let's talk about it, because I think the Discord idea would be pretty cool. So yeah, totally up for it. Love your 360 videos. Can you do more of them? I'm curious about you guys and how you feel about those 360 videos, because I put a couple of them out and people got like really mad at me for making them. Like, I never let them replace my regular videos, but sometimes it's fun to just take like my 360 camera and just like plant it around as I'm doing chores and let you guys watch what's going on. I think that's for some people, but not everybody. A lot of people though, just got mad at me. There were just like a lot of angry comments on those videos. And so I just sort of stopped making them because it's like, I'm not going to put the effort in if it just annoys people. Similarly, I don't know if you guys have noticed, YouTube has rolled out this new shorts feature, and I've made a couple of videos that are shorts because I do a lot of short videos for TikTok. And so I figured I could post them on YouTube too, but people also got mad about that. Like, I like making short videos. I like making my long videos. I just want to keep making lots of videos. So hopefully you guys don't mind them. Yeah, the 360 made a lot of people seasick. Yeah, a lot of people just aren't a fan. See, like I'm seeing it here. So Ken is asking, is Allison a nurse practitioner? Does she do farm chores? Yes and yes. So she works in a clinic in St. J as a nurse practitioner, and St. Johnsbury, which is like our closest town. And she does do a fair amount around the farm. She helps with the animals. She helps a lot of like organizing. She's actually helping me organize the barn right now because I'm a disaster when it comes to that some sort of stuff. You know, guys, to just stress, my probably biggest character flaw at this point is that I am such a disorganized mess. I am messy in terms of like organization and keeping things orderly. I am horrible at like getting back to people and following up on stuff. And so I have like weaknesses like that. I'm working on it. I actually might even try to get some help soon around some of that stuff. But yeah, I struggle with that. But Allison is like a pro. She's hyper organized, hyper focused, keeps things going, meticulous. And so we usually make a really good team when it comes to that sort of stuff. Hey, my friends from Two Family Homestead came. Hey guys, I totally forgot that you had a thing going tonight. I'm sorry to like book on top of you. Suggestion, take the 7 days of TikTok videos and put them all in one video as a TikTok clip video. That promotes the TikTok and then also YouTube. I might try to do something like that, but actually what I'm more likely to do is cross-post some of the stuff from TikTok, which, hey, all my friends on TikTok, and also then sort of cross-post it to YouTube Shorts. I think if YouTube Shorts ends up like getting more sort of established, I'll definitely be doing way more there. All right, I'm going to take a question from TikTok because just so you guys know, I've had my phone going here this whole time here. TikTok viewers can see YouTube viewers and vice versa. And I've been ignoring these guys and talking to the YouTube web camera. But let me answer a question from TikTok. Those aren't my pants asks, do you have plans on incubating and hatching your own geese and ducks? And so the answer is yes, we've done it before. We've incubated and hatched our own ducks before and geese. And we plan to do it a lot more again next year. I think my goal would actually be to have all of our meat geese be raised by our own geese this year. If I look at the profitability and of the business side of things, I think that hatching my own birds makes raising grass-fed goose meat insanely profitable and just a great business to be in. And so I want to hatch more. And so I would not be surprised if we end up hatching, and raising 30 to 40 geese here on the farm next year. Maybe even more, maybe even 100. We'll see what I get for eggs. Any thoughts on getting sheep, donkeys, pigeons, or some other critters? Well, we have a bunch of pigeons living in the barn that I just haven't had the heart to evict by shotgun. And so we do have pigeons here already. I sometimes think about getting sheep, and while I'm very anti-goat, I think sheep would definitely be possibly in the mix. And I will say donkeys might be the only animal that I have heart for that's like a not sort of really practical farm animal. So I don't like horses. I don't like alpacas, quail, peacocks, like all those. I just don't have interest in it. But for some reason, having a donkey or two, I don't know, it just appeals to me for a weird way. I got a couple super chats I've ignored. I got to respond to. So Mobster asks, and thank you for the super chat, Mobster. How big is the non-US fan base? I'm currently watching from Japan. I'm Belgian, though. I actually think it's pretty big. If I look at my analytics, I would say about 60% of the audience is from the US and 40% is from other parts of the world. So I think compared to a lot of other YouTubers, that's probably bigger. My next biggest countries, I think, are Canada, Great Britain, Australia, but like places like India and a lot of European countries also pop up a lot. Thank you, by the way, Barry West, for that super chat. And are you considering an automatic incubator, say 300 eggs? Yes. I would not be surprised if we end up upgrading our incubator capabilities for 2021 and going to like a larger cabinet style incubator. I would say that that's pretty likely. All right. Next question. I got another one from Muck. Love your channel. Kept me sane throughout lockdown. Lots of love from the UK. Thank you, Muck. I really appreciate you saying that. And thank you, Pedram Mubed, for I hope I said that right. Pedram, thank you for that super chat as well. I really appreciate it. Yeah, you know, so Fox 6 is making this comment about the mess of the postal system. You know, that's actually one of the things in my consideration for why I want to just focus on hatching my own birds and probably not buying at least meat birds from a hatchery next year. So, you know, the last 2 years, actually last 3 years, all my birds, a lot of my birds have come from hatcheries. You know, all my meat geese this year came from a hatchery. All my meat geese from last year came from a hatchery. And I just find that I spend a fair amount of money there. And, you know, then you also have all of the shipping logistics. So it makes it tough. Thank you, Ricardo, for that super chat. And is this stream going to be safe? Yes, I will leave the stream up for at least a very long time. So at least you can catch it in the next month or two. It'll be up somewhere in our videos. I think you might have to look in a different place now for live stream archives, but they'll be up, and I'll make sure they're available for everybody. Wow, I can't believe you guys are still all hanging with me. Nobody's bored. We're like still at like 1.2 folks here. That's pretty darn good. I'm very happy about it. This might be my biggest chat ever, so I appreciate you guys hanging out. Have you considered changing the entry gate to avoid another unfortunate head bump or electrocution in the future, e.g. cut the circuit while open? I've thought about it, and to be honest with you, I like where it's placed. I'm kind of lazy and I don't want to have to change it. And taking that shock to the head was definitely a lesson enough for me to turn off the fence before I go in there. And so I don't think I'm going to make that mistake again, to be really blunt. And what I generally do these days is I turn off the fence during the day. I mean, again, we have a 5-foot-high fence and a livestock guardian dog. So having a hot top wire while Toby's out there in daylight just doesn't feel necessary. Really, all I'm trying to protect with that top wire is something like a bobcat or a raccoon or other kind of crawly guy crawling over the fence and getting in and getting at the animals and just really discourage that, as well as try to discourage bears, because I have a fair amount of bears in the area. And so I really only turn it on at night now. And so I don't really have any plans to change. Goosey Boy Rafa G. I'm a Filipino, but I talk English way better than my own language. Well, that's awesome. Good to hear. All right. What other questions have we got going here? Have you ever... I'm sorry, Lil. Here, I'm going to give you a treat. Have you ever considered getting some milking cows? So I don't plan on getting milking cows anytime soon. The main reason that we don't just have pure dairy cows right now is Allison is allergic to cow's milk, and it's not even lactose intolerant. She's got like it clogs up her sinuses and just makes her feel horrible, and so she doesn't eat cow's milk. And so because of that, and it would just be me taking the cow's milk and the cheese from it, because she doesn't eat cheese either. And so it would be sort of like not a good effort in terms of the return. With Dexters can actually be used as dual purpose cattle. And so if we get those Dexters, I would definitely try to do an experiment where I milk my cow and see what I get out of it. And if I like it, I would definitely be drinking it, because I love milk. I'm a huge fan. We always have like whole milk in the fridge, and it's just for me, and I love it. I'd love to make my own butter. I'd love to make my own cheese. Like, all that stuff would be so cool. Thank you, Ravenesque. I appreciate you saying that. All right, I'm going to take another TikTok question. Would you like to just start a Discord for aspiring homesteaders? Yeah, you know what? Like I was saying to other folks, I really think the Discord thing is going to be something I check out of here. When was Justin Rhodes up there? He visited Carl Hammer's operation. Do you use his product? So let me unpack that question. So yeah, Justin was up in this area back during the Great American Farm Tour. So I know that was the case. I wasn't actually up here in that time. I remember sitting in my house in Washington, D.C. At the time, watching the Rhodes family pretty much every night go on their Great American Farm Tour. But yeah, I wasn't actually up here when he was up here. I was still in D.C. doing my own thing. So yeah, that's, I guess, the answer there. As far as Carl Hammer goes, so for you guys who don't know, Carl Hammer has a Vermont compost company. They make some really great compost, and he has this amazing system for composting kitchen scraps and waste with chickens. And so he makes the compost from that, and the chickens help him with the composting. And then he also sells like chicken eggs, like our local co-op, which is like a, I don't know, hippie grocery store. I'm not sure if they have co-ops in other parts of the country. Our local co-op here, they like have Vermont compost eggs, and like you can buy them easily. And so, yeah, I don't use his products just because I usually get my compost either from stuff I make from the ducks and geese, or I have a buddy, Zach, who's like a sheep farmer, and I'll get like compost from him. Or I actually had a bad experience where I bought some compost from a dude last year, and it turned out to be really weedy. So yeah. All right, what other questions we got here? What first got you into permaculture? Another YouTube channel, maybe? You know what actually first got me into permaculture? Let me think. What was it? It was a combination of a couple things. I think it was reading Mark Shepard's book. So I first got into the idea of farming. I think it was reading, what was it that it really first tipped me over? It might have been actually reading The Good Life by Helen and Scott Nearing. I think that was maybe the first thing that sort of got me thinking about stuff like this. But that got me reading other books. That's sort of how I discovered Joel Salatin. And then, okay, all right, guys, I'm going to have to let Lil out. She like probably has to go to the bathroom or something. So down you go. And so that was there. But then reading Mark Shepard's Restoration Agriculture, that was the book that sort of flipped the light switch for me and sent me down like a crazy researching and planning path, and got me focused on building our permaculture orchard here on the farm. And so that's sort of how it all started up. Zucchini Bread asks or says, apologies if vid suggestions aren't allowed, but it would be fun around summer harvest time to let Toby taste test some local dog safe veggies. I like that idea, Zucchini Bread. I will save that one for the fall. Actually, my friend Mallory she's got a YouTube channel called the Quebec Homestead, and she has the funniest clip of her livestock guardian dog eating a carrot. And so, yeah, I should probably do a doggy taste test with Toby. I'll try to, I'm going to write that one down actually in my handy dandy notebook of video ideas, and yeah, try to do that for next year. And thank you, Paul Duffner, for the super chat and question. And let me answer it. So why Vermont, not Oregon or Idaho or somewhere else? Well, the reason we ended up in Vermont is a couple of points. Number one, Allison and I are both from New England. And so we wanted to live in an area where we were at least close enough to family that we could go down and back in a day. And so from where I live right now, I'm about 3 hours from my mother's house, about 3 hours from my sister and brother-in-law's house. And so I think that's there. We're about 2.5 hours from Allison's father and 2.5 hours from but maybe 2 hours and 45 minutes from Allison's mom. And so we're like close enough to family. I also didn't like living down south. So no offense to my friends down south, but like living down in Washington, D.C. felt like too southern for me. I don't like hot weather. I really don't. Like I sweat profusely, as you guys have probably seen from my summer videos. I love being in like a thick wool sweater like I'm in right now, and my office, looking at the temp, it's like 61 degrees in here. That's like awesome to me. Or I'll go downstairs in the living room and sit by the fire. That's awesome to me. If I have to go outside and do chores when it's like negative 20 degrees, I will be happy to go do that. And so kind of all of those all those things are great. So the family, the climate, kind of those things. And then culturally, I don't know, Vermont's kind of more our speed. I will admit we're sort of hippie-ish in some of our mindset type of things. And so, yeah, kind of all those factors led to Vermont. Vermont also had cheaper land and more rural than, say, like a place like Connecticut, where I grew up, or say Massachusetts, or even New Hampshire is cheaper. And so I think it was all those factors. Hey, my friends from VW Family Farmer here, Ben, Andrea, what's going on, guys? And yeah, sorry, I probably just as see Ben making fun of me. You know, DC's down south. Yes, DC is down south. Let's just be clear here. The Mason-Dixon line is somewhere in Pennsylvania, and DC is clearly below the Mason-Dixon line. And so I see DC as the south. I am happy to be up here in the frosty north. And yes, my friend, we are just going to agree to disagree. And yes, Jack's up here. He's up in New Hampshire, the live free or die state. You know, that's a good place to be too. Would you ever want to potentially collaborate, automate parts of your farm workflow? Yes, that sounds appealing, E. And E, if I think you sent me an email, I actually have been meaning to follow up with you because I think I want to work on that video that you were talking about. So yes, I think that would be a lot of fun, and I could probably use the help, to be perfectly blunt. Hey, Morgan, could you do a video on how to cope with the insane amount of snow you get in your climate? Yes, I will do a video this winter where I talk about how I manage the snow around the farm. You know, it's funny. We haven't got any real snow here. Like, we get dustings regularly, but nothing else so far this year. Last year was a very light snow year. I mean, we only had maybe 50 snows all year. The year before, though, was crazy. Like, we had like maybe 80 different days with snow. And on top of it all, by the end of the winter, we had I measured it. It was like about 5 feet of snow built up in our pasture. So it was just so crazy deep, and it was so crazy cold that winter. I don't know what this year is going to be like. My hunch is it's going to end up getting to be a hard winter, but I will make a video about how I manage that. And so Maggie, yes, to repeat for those of you who got late, I know I should probably go back into this again. Sorry for the guys who got here earlier. But we are going to be getting cattle some point in the next say 6 to 9 months, I would say. I'm going to be looking for the right opportunity and the right cattle. I'm being very selective with what stock I'm taking on. We're going to be getting Dexter cattle, raising them for beef. And ultimately, my plan is going to be to actually produce beef jerky and sell it as part of the farm. And so that is the long-term plan of it. Trenton Cook asks, what are your thoughts on city farming? Well, Trenton, I think it's great. I think it's important. I think more people need to grow more food regardless of where they are. When I lived in Brooklyn, I got my start actually growing rooftop tomatoes. And that was like the first sort of step towards the path that I'd ultimately be on here with our farm. When we moved to DC, I ripped up our front lawn and tore apart our back lawn and put in garden beds. I also grew container stuff on the roof, and kind of all that got us on our path. And so wherever you are in life, whether you're in a rural spot like us or you're in the heart of a city, I think people growing food is a great thing. And so I'm all for it. Oh, congratulations, Howard Lintz, and thank you for the super chat. So Howard just got a 35-acre spot up in New York. We'll start in about 3 acres, want to set up a 5-acre lake for fish. So you should definitely plant trees as you start, because the trees are going to take the most time. I think I'm a big believer in black locust. I think black locust trees are great for timber, great for forage for animals, and on top of it all, they actually help your soil as their nitrogen fixer. So I think that's always great. And then I feel like you can't go wrong with chestnuts. I feel like you can't go wrong with hazelnuts, and you can't go wrong with apples. So like if I were you, and given that you're talking about being in upstate New York, I would focus on probably those 4 trees, maybe also experiment with some oaks and other things. But the trees I would say look into: black locust, apple, chestnut, and then hazelnut. So yeah, there you go. I'm starting to lose my voice, guys, so I'm probably going to tap out in the not too distant future. And plus, I feel really bad for my moderators. Can everybody give just a big round of applause for the mods tonight? I just want to say thank you to Don at Little Mountain Life, Rose at Wholesome Roots, Jack at the Mindful Homestead, Josh at the City Stead, Ethan over at 180 Degrees. I appreciate all you guys and all your help. And if I missed somebody, I'm so sorry. Yo, Ethan says. And so the question is, another question they got is, show us Toby. I can't show you Toby. Toby's out back. He's working right now, guys. I don't want to distract him from his job. Do you think you'll be able to quit your off-farm job? Yeah, I mean, I probably could right now, but I actually don't want to. I actually, this is going to sound weird to you guys, and just take it for what it is. I don't mind my off-farm job. In fact, I like my off-farm job. And so I'm going to keep doing all of what I'm doing right now for as long as I can because I enjoy it. And for as long as I enjoy it. And I don't know. I mean, I know that that's not sort of what everybody pictures of being their life path, but I'm very, very happy with where life is right now. And I just want to kind of keep it going. Yes, and that is true too. My off-farm job has health insurance, and that is a absolutely important thing, especially in this day and age. Okay. Please try to do a night watch video with Toby. I'd love to watch him at night. So I did one already, and I know people got mad because I was using flashlights, but guys, it's so hard to make a video without light. I might try to make another one this winter where I spend the night outside with him when it gets colder. See, guys, I really take one for the team when I make some of these videos. So yeah. Do you think it's cool for a fashion design college student jump right into a farm after you graduate? All right, look, I went to college. I went to art school. So my college education, I didn't go to like a traditional college type of stuff. Like I went and studied art in college, which is like a weird thing to pay for now that I look back on it 20 years later. But yeah, I went to art school. I studied animation in college, which is also insanely impractical. And I feel like that experience set me up well for what I do here on the farm. And so I don't know, it really matters about kind of like what your education background is. My only advice would be don't dive in all the way. Don't go too crazy with investing in things. Start small, help out on somebody else's farm if you can. See if you like it, like keep wading into it. Don't like just jump off the diving board without ever dipping your toe in, because I think that that's a mistake. But I don't think it matters where your education background is. I think certain things might help, like if you're studying animals, if you're studying agricultural management, but I don't see them as prerequisites. What do my coworkers think of my YouTube videos? Generally, they like them. They always get a kick out of them. It's funny when I'll be like in a work meeting and totally not in the mindset of the farm and life on the farm, and people will ask me questions about a video I just put out the other day, and it sort of blows my mind. But they're really supportive. I work with a great bunch of people. It's part of why I like working where I work, is just because it's a good organization and filled with good people. Thank you, Stephen A, for the super chat. Love your videos so much. They're the greatest. They make me happy. I watch them. I have so much more appreciation for animals because of you. That's good. That really makes me feel good to hear that, because I think one of the things that's really important to me, and I hope you guys have gathered this, is that if you are an animal farmer, meaning you raise livestock for whether it's meat or eggs or dairy or some sort of product that you can sell to people, even though you might be raising that animal to kill it, I believe it's so critically important to treat that animal with respect. And so if I'm imparting that on people who are seeing our YouTube videos, that is like awesome to me. So I appreciate you saying that. Penguin's the best asks, how is Lil Barn Cat? So Lil Barn Cat's doing great. You must have missed the live stream earlier. She was up here hanging out with me for about an hour. I just let her out because I think she had to go to the bathroom. She's probably downstairs by the fire now, so she's done for hanging out on the live stream tonight. But she's doing really good. Nathan Sheehan asks, what plans do we have for the barn long term? Plans for the barn would be, probably actually house the cattle. Like that's going to be the next thing, housing hay and housing cattle. So I'm going to have to, over this winter, and Allison is like really holding my feet to the fire on me, as she should. I'm going to have to clean out that barn and clean up the barn a bit more so that we can have the space to house the cattle in the winter. The cattle would live out on the pasture, and I'd rotationally graze them during the late spring, summer, into as late as possible fall. But then the winter, I would bring them back into the barn and house them up there and feed them hay. And so that'll be the plan for the barn. All right, Spiv asks, how much time do I spend editing videos? I probably spend somewhere between 4 and like 9 hours on editing videos, to be really honest with you guys. It depends on the video. Some videos are quicker and easy to edit. If I just use one camera, that makes it easier. If I only shoot like an hour's worth of footage, that makes it way easier. But I've had other videos where I've shot like 20 hours of footage on 4 different cameras, and that can take me, maybe even as long as 10 hours to edit. So it really depends on how complicated the video is. The video I'm putting out tomorrow, or not tomorrow, Thursday, that one will be, that probably took me about 4 hours to make. It was not that complicated. But the video that I made where I put the GoPro on Toby, or I put the GoPro on the goose, that one took like probably 10 hours. Stand-up night. So what's the stand-up night? I'm curious. That sounds funny. I would do that. I'm not very funny when it comes to telling jokes, but I love telling stories, and so maybe I could tell a story to make people laugh. How do you keep critters away from your chestnuts? So I don't know if you guys have noticed, right? There are those tree tubes that I have on the trees. Those tree tubes actually keep the critters away. And so they help keep the deer browse away. They can help keep rodents away too. The other thing I find is mulching helps a lot too. Oh, the Gochi meat mini farm. I hope it's either Gochi or Gochi. Our son Reggie loves your videos, so he made his own. Well, that's cool to hear too. I think hearing that people are respecting and loving and appreciating animals because of our videos, that is awesome to me. But then also hearing that kids are getting inspired by our videos, that's also awesome to me. Like, I've actually started like pinning up like drawings that kids are sending me to this clipboard that you see back there, just because it just makes me happy to see that. And so to hear that your son is making his own video, that's awesome. I really appreciate it. Send me a link. I'd love to watch it. Yeah. All right. And then I saw another question about duck poop that I want to try to hit here. Where'd it go? All right, so from Bee and Thistle Farm, how do you deal with all the duck poo? We've had trouble maintaining our kiddie pools get dirty real fast, and our chickens have gotten sick from it because they get in the chickens' water. So here's a couple of things. Number one, I just am constantly changing the water. I think that is the simplest and easy way to do it. The reason I don't use like big kiddie pools anymore is they're just inefficient. What I've found actually works the best are these, I think they're like 10-gallon black tubs that I get at Tractor Supply. They're really durable, so they can take freezing and not crack on you. I will fill it up in the morning and let my ducks and geese use it. They foul it up. And then at the end of the day, I just flip it over, dump it. I set up a rubber tub in their houses so that they can have water. And then the next day, I start the cycle over. It's good for keeping the water clean, and it's also good for preventing frozen water, or at least addressing the frozen water. So that's the system I use, and it helps. Oh wow, Paul Duffner, man, you're all over this super chat. Let's see. Okay, last question, and farm unrelated. My wife is about to finish school and take the NCLEX in December. What's the process like from RN to NP? Love your videos. Let me try to do my best to answer that one, but I'm probably not going to do a great job. So for Allison, what she had to go through, so she was an RN, and she worked as an RN for a couple of years, then stopped because she actually got her master's in public health. And then she went back to school to get her nurse practitioner's license when we decided to move up here. She went to school for like 18 months, and then, she finished school, and then she had to do some licensing exams and go through like this 3-month process of getting her license. And then from there, she was ready to get hired and take a job. And so that's how she ended up doing it. All right. Aiden F asked, any plans to solar to keep energy bills down, or at least for the fence? So I do have plans to add solar to the farm. I actually can't quite talk about them yet, but we are planning on adding solar to the farm in the not too distant future. More to come on that one. So Jaden asks, how did you learn to edit and what programs do you use? So I learned to edit by actually, when I got my start out of college, nobody wanted to hire a guy to do animation. And so I just took jobs editing videos, and I just got a lot of practice that way, editing videos for companies. And so that was sort of how my first job out of college. And I did that for a couple of years before moving into marketing. And in terms of programs that I use, I mostly do all my editing in Adobe Premiere. I think it's pretty straightforward, and I like it a lot. And I'm a big fan of Premiere. Some people swear by Final Cut, but I'm a Premiere guy. Sheila Davis asks, are you going to let the geese go natural and have kids again this year? Probably. I'll probably let the geese hatch a couple of clutches of eggs, but I'm also going to spend a lot of time and energy on hatching myself, and so you're going to see more there. Yeah, Ethan's talking about DaVinci Resolve. Get out of here, Ethan. And I don't know. I mean, look, the stuff you're shooting with that camera is beautiful. And by the way, I didn't think I texted you this yet, but I love that video that you just put out. It's like your best one you've ever made. But yeah, I don't know. That's the thing that scares me the most about your cameras is having to learn something like DaVinci. Thank you for that super chat, /blue. Okay, guys, I'm going to give you the 5-minute warning here. I'm starting to lose my voice. My throat's getting scratchy and dry. And so we're going to wrap this conversation up. But without that, let me give a couple last questions. So I'll do a last question for TikTok and a last questions for up here on the YouTube. All right. What is the plan for the forest? That's a good one. Dreamy RH Lolik. I said that right. The plan for the forest is this. Right now we just manage it as a forest. I have a forest management plan in place. I selectively harvest. I try to keep things clear to the best of my ability. And really, that's been a big part of the farm plan. And then right now, I've been harvesting a lot of cedar posts and cedar wood for building and for fence posts. We'll continue to do that, but we have literally thousands of cedar trees that are coppiced, and so it's almost like a renewable resource that we have there. I will probably also start to expand the pasture, as I've shown you guys in other videos too. And so if the whole farm, if the whole cattle raising thing goes well, we'll continue to build on that for sure. And then we'll start to reclaim more of the land, because a lot of the land that we have that's forest used to be pasture 100 years ago. And so we'll probably do that. But when I sort of start to take back that pasture land, I will still leave a lot of trees and really try to build out a true silvopasture when I do it. So that would be the plan for the forest. All right, last question, and it's going to my friends on TikTok here. What's your dream animal on the farm? Okay. That's an appropriate one to end on, because I think the animal that I have always dreamed the most about raising since I got the crazy idea of having a farm has been cattle. I've always had this dream of rotationally grazing cattle. I remember my earliest days of reading Salad Bar Beef by Joel Salatin and getting just so jazzed and inspired by the process that he described in that book. That's always been my dream. And so cattle are my farm dream. My hope is that I'm going to have them in the not too distant future on this farm. And I'm also really looking forward to sharing that with you and that whole experience and that learning process. And, I'm going to screw some things up. I'm going to have some successes. It's going to be like a lot of the other things on this farm. And I'm really looking forward to taking you guys, whether you're on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram or Twitter or wherever you follow us, taking you along for the ride with us. And I appreciate all the support. I appreciate everybody hanging out tonight for the past hour and a half. I want to say thank you to all my moderators. So Don at Little Mountain Life, Rose at Wholesome Roots, Jack at Mindful Homestead, Ethan over at 180 Degrees from Average, Josh at the City Stead, like all of you guys. I appreciate you working so hard to moderate tonight. It's been crazy, the speed of the chat, and I want to thank you. If you guys are watching this and you want to thank us, be sure to go out and check these guys out. They make some great videos and some great content. And I'm just super appreciative of everything they've done tonight. And I'm appreciative to everybody hanging out. I hope you have a great Thanksgiving and be safe, be thoughtful. I know this is going to be a weird Thanksgiving in 2020. I'm putting out a video, which I usually wouldn't do on Thanksgiving, but it'll be there. You guys can watch it, check it out. Let me know if you have thoughts. I might even try to hop on another live stream even, because if I've got time, it's just going to be me and Allison here at the house. And so I hope you guys have a great day and be safe. And thanks. And that's the end of the live stream. See ya.